Like, I think I had a slam for Mexico. Oh yeah, your fake aliens are so fake. You're like the Mexican version of fake aliens.
What was that about?
Like
anyway,
it's so embarraissing.
I saw that video. What was that?
They're still claiming that's real and presenting new evidences. They fucking X-rated them or like they ran into a fucking scanner.
The two little plaster little guys.
What, like they're a metal detector at the airport?
Yes, it looks like Mini-Me's skeleton, and they're like running it through an MRI, a Mexican MRI. Jesus Christ! And then claiming that they're real and that they've got
Mexican resonance imaging.
I like to think they don't have like 40-year-old technology. Imagine a Mexican X-ray. Do they have those?
Mexican resonance imaging. Let me take a good look.
That's an alien.
That's what they pulled out of Wings when he got his surgery down there.
Oh my God, that's what it was. That's his calcified twin.
Yeah.
That was Donnie. He was the good one.
Donnie.
Those aliens
did you have
so
people
fucking stupid and fake? Your skeleton behind you right now, legitimately, it looks far more realistic as like a fake body
than that alien they brought forward. Yeah.
Did you have people in your community, Wendigoon, being like, do a deep dive on the alien?
When that you remember that Senate hearing that happened, like I want to say it was last month sometime, and that you guys may have talked about it on the show, but when that dude was up there, like there's non-human remains recovered in the ship or whatever, that guy. That whole thing. Yeah. My mentions for like a week straight were nothing but, why aren't you covering this? What's your problem? Do you know something we don't? Why aren't you talking about it? And it was literally just a guy, like a dude who worked on a military base. He's like, a friend of a friend of a friend mentioned that might be aliens, you know? You ever think of it that way? And everyone's like, oh, the government's confirming they're aliens. It's like, I don't know if you've ever talked to someone who works in government, but they're not God. There's a pretty high area of a error chance with things that they say. So it was just some guy. But yeah, the Mexican one, I still am having trouble believing because I've seen those videos. I'm getting punked. There's something wrong here because it's literally like plaster ETs like this big. I don't know.
It looks like so fake and so fake looking. If they had just shown me like a big weird octopus thing that didn't even make any sense, and they'd been like, look at this. It had a glove on, or like look at this. It has when in the X-ray you could see like it had implants or something around its brain. Be like, oh shit, what is that? What is that thing? And this is a fossil. What? But they showed me those little Halloween store guys that looked so fake that I know that a high school class could duplicate it or improve upon it.
That wouldn't even
any special effects group could make something so much better looking. I saw this fake Russian video of an alien once, and it was supposedly like dead in the snow, like fresh, and like the leg was gone. So you saw like inside of it, like flesh. And I was like, that could be real. I mean, I know it's not real, but like, that's what a real one would look like, maybe. You know, I don't know what the inside of an alien looks like, but I'm buying that that's what it is because I can see like muscles and bone and sinew. They used an animal in the making of whatever they did. Like,
that looks more realistic than the one they had at the Mexican government.
My alien's better than theirs.
Yeah,
for sure. Yeah. Woody set that hillside behind me there on fire one time.
I did.
How'd you set it on fire?
I was shooting I was trying to shoot a paint can with a shotgun that had dragon's breath in it so that the paint can would catch fire. And the dragon's breath was landing in the field back there. And I knew that I was making little fires, but I thought they'd be easily stomped out.
Yeah.
I may have overestimated the difference between the fires and my cardio because it was a challenge. And it was hot. And I'm running from fire to fire. The fires are growing, right? Once a fire gets to a certain size, it becomes a real problem. And
that's a great
is that from Glenn Beck's wave? Glenn Beck ran a fucking article about me on how I was an irresponsible gun owner.
That piece of shit, Glenn Beck.
Anyway, I think Kyle eventually came up with that cooler that had water in it because what was happening when fire gets to a certain size, it gets really hard to put out.
Yeah.
So, that wasn't me. So I would stomp it down to like 80% gone, like down to 20% of its previous size, and then move on to the next one. Why did I take it to 0? Well, the next one was getting too big to handle. So I was just sort of playing whack-a-mole. They all sort of grew back up. And once we got water involved, they stayed put out.
After that, I started bringing my dad has a PTO powered sprayer for his tractor. It's a big tank. It's hundreds of gallons, maybe 300, maybe 500. And you've got a wand and it makes a ton of pressure and shoots forever. So we just use that thing as a fire truck after that. No matter how big of a fire you made, you could put it out with that thing. There's no problem. What about the events that Fire in the Sky are based on? That logger from Oregon or wherever who was disappeared for multiple days, 3 to 5 or something. All of his buddies saw the light. They were all out there working, logging. He got separated, went to investigate the light, goes missing days later, naked, and passed the polygraph for whatever that means, you know.
Yeah.
But still passed it. And says he was abducted by aliens and they did gruesome experiments on him.
So that's another one of those cases that's kind of like, yeah, I mean, whatever you think. Like it's such bizarre circumstances. I can't pin it down. I haven't researched that one the way I would like a video topic because I haven't made it. But from what little I do know about that case, my idea around it was always either an intense psychosis, like from him, like maybe he decided to fake the lights in order to trick his friends and then like make up this whole story or whatever, either out of some level of wants to be famous, I guess, or psychosis, like I said. But even that's exactly, come on.
When you say fake, fake the lights, can you backfill me?
Like I got a little experience in pyrotechnics and such. I'd have a hard time fooling y'all that the aliens were over the hill.
Yeah, exactly.
So in this story, there were alien lights or supposed alien lights that people claim to have seen.
Oh yeah, Kyle knows. Again, I haven't researched him well. Kyle probably knows the details better than I do.
There was a bright light over the hill, like a blinding light that they didn't want to investigate because all the other grown men were afraid. And this guy's like, ho, 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 and runs off and doesn't show up for days. And when he comes back, he's like naked in a phone booth somewhere calling 911. But yeah,
the aliens are incredibly sexually aggressive.
They were. If you watch that scene, it's so upsetting because they're very matter-of-factly. Like it's like when you see the crocodile hunter with an animal. Like, oh, look at this, fucking measure, staple this through its fucking ear. Yeah, they don't feel pain like we do. Fucking roll him over. Let's shove a finger or two up his ass. See what? Yeah, it's the cloaca. Yeah, she's almost ready. Yeah. Did you wash your hands? Fuck it. Roll her over.
You're like being peeled alive on an alien table, screaming, and they're like, "That's just air releasing from its lung." You just feel a sense of pressure, like a fish. You're just stop it, and it's like, wow.
See how it's all high pitched like that? Yeah, that's air escaping. They breathe it. Yeah, I know.
And then the big inhale, that's air escaping back in. For another escape.
It escapes the other way. Now that scene in the movie is one of the scariest movie scenes ever. Like it's terrifying.
It's one thing for someone to have you and want to inflict pain on you because they understand it, but to be kidnapped by something that doesn't even have the concept of pain, that's just there and treating you like another, like, I don't know, like a chunk of aluminum to be ored out or like an animal to be weighed and measured and cataloged. It's real scary. And the actor. And so the aliens don't look like super realistic or anything, but they're scary. They're scary to look at. Like they have those, it's the traditional gray aliens with the big heads and everything, but something about them is more predatory and mean, for lack of a better word. It's like they're aggressively, like at one point he's like, "Arr!" And one of them's like, "Oh yeah, give me a handful of this brown muck to shove into its mouth." And he's just like,
okay, well, that's awful. That's not even science. Can you imagine if you had
science
a lemur,
we can't understand?
If you had like a lemur on a table that you're torturing, and you're like, we need to get the information from this lemur's biology and its metrics, and it's just like, and you're just like, no, that's obnoxious. Put this Quickcrete in its mouth. Shut it up. Like, no, now it's not even science anymore. That's just that's just Saw 6. Like when they really lost the plot.
That's just mean. That's all that is.
I like the idea that to the lemur, a syringe, they're just like, he's just poking us with a sharp stick over and over. Like, they don't see any scientific benefit to you stabbing them over and over. So when the thing like puts a handful of axle grease in his mouth, which is what it looks like, it's like they have no idea that this is this is magical axle grease. It tells us everything you need to know about a human.
10 out of 10 lemurs hate having their eyelids cut off and mascara smeared into it.
I hate that. We had to know if it was going to sting.